Access your free language gifts right now, before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Cooking Conversation Cheat Sheet. Learn all the must-know cooking phrases with this new cheat sheet. Download it for free right now. Second, our brand new visual flashcards. Want to speak more of the language? You'll need to learn more words. And with our new printable visual flashcards, you'll learn over 1,500. Just download and print them out. Third, can you talk about your favorite shows? Learn how to say no spoilers, what are you watching right now, and other useful words and phrases for video on demand. Fourth, what's your New Year's resolution? With this bonus phrase list, you'll learn to say read more, save money, learn a language, and other common goals. Fifth, must-know words and phrases for the new year. If you're learning the language and can't yet talk about the new year, then access this 1-minute vocabulary lesson. Sixth, looking for a new language learning app? With the Innovative 101 app, you'll learn language fast and start speaking in minutes because the audio and video lessons are just 3 to 15 minutes long. Learning is that easy. Download Innovative 101 for free for the Android, iPhone, and iPad. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 55% off 24-month premium with our extended holiday deal. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now before they expire. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Okay, let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Mo Adam. Hi Mo Adam. Mo Adam says, how do I express the plural form of non-humans, like animals or things? Should I use it, are, or they are? Use they are. I assume for this question, we're talking about countable nouns. If you're using countable nouns, please use they are plus the noun with an S sound at the end. So I know that we might kind of associate using they with people, but we actually also use they when we're talking about objects. So we don't use it when we're talking about plural objects. We will, however, use it if we're talking about an uncountable noun. So please keep this in mind. If you're using a countable noun, please use they are. If you're using an uncountable noun, use it is. So let's take a look at some examples of they are with the plural form, and these things will introduce non-human things. For example, these computers, they're from my company. Nice shoes, they're brand new, yeah? I wish I could stay in a luxury hotel, but man, the rooms, they're so pricey. So in sum, please just make sure if you're using a countable noun, use they are plus the plural form of your noun. I hope that this helps you. Thanks for the question. Okay, let's go on to your next question. Next question this week comes from Aniko. Hi, Aniko. Aniko says, hi, Alicia. Could you please explain the meaning of for the record? When and how is it used in everyday speech? Okay, sure. We use for the record to mean my official statement is, or my official opinion is. So we use for the record just before we make the statement or just before we share that information. The idea here is that we expect that information is going to be written down or is going to be recorded, like literally recorded in a record. So a record literally used to refer to something like a notebook where we kept information. So when we say for the record, it literally means this is information that I want to say and have included in a record. So we use this a lot when we're trying to clear up, so that means trying to make something clear. When we're trying to clear up something that's controversial, or maybe there's been a misunderstanding, or there's been trouble or a problem of some kind because information is not so clear. And so we say for the record to make our official statement or to share our official opinion about something. Let's take a look at some examples. I would like to say for the record that I think this is a terrible decision. For the record, I didn't cheat on that test. So you might hear people like begin an interview, or you might hear people beginning like a legal situation with the expression, state your name for the record, which means please say your name so that we can officially record it. So for the record just means give us information that you expect to be considered official. Another related term that you might hear also in kind of legal or like maybe police-related or controversy-related situations is the expression, let the record show. Let the record show. So let the record show is usually said by like a lawyer or some other kind of legal professional, and it's usually said to the person writing notes or the person recording like the discussion or the situation. And they use it to mean please like make a note in the record that something happened. So for example, let the record show that the witness refused to answer questions. So in simple English that means please write down in the record that the witness refused to answer questions. So this let the record show is kind of a specific expression that we use in legal situations. For the record is fairly similar, though you may also hear it used in everyday speech to sound kind of funny. Like if we want to make kind of a basic or very like everyday opinion sound a little official, just like for humor purposes to sound funny, someone might say for the record and then introduce their opinion. But in most cases, especially for like media, for the record is used to make official statements. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks for an interesting question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Jung-Yoon Kim. I hope I said that right. Hi, Jung-Yoon Kim. Jung-Yoon says, a friend of mine asked if something was mine. I was sure it did not belong to me. What's the best way to respond to the question, is this yours? In a case like this. It couldn't be mine, or it can't be mine. Which is correct? You could use either, really. I think I would probably use it can't be mine because it couldn't be mine sounds to me a little bit too formal and too polite. And you mentioned you're talking to your friend in this case. So I would probably say it can't be mine if I had to choose from one of these. I mean, they're both correct. They both communicate the same idea. But if it were me, again, in this situation, I would probably say something a little bit different. I would probably say something like, that's definitely not mine. Mine's at my house, or there's no way that's mine. I threw mine away last year. I would probably say something like, that's definitely not mine, or there's no way that's mine. Like, those feel a little more direct and they're a little bit rough, so it feels natural to use those expressions with my friends. By the way, the expression, there's no way, means there's no possibility, like there's no chance that that is mine. That's what that expression means. So in sum, you could use all of these. I think I would probably use, there's no way that's mine, or that can't possibly be mine. Something a little bit more direct. And then I follow up with some evidence, like mine is at my house, or I threw it away last year. So you can use any of these, whichever you prefer, but I would suggest using something a little more direct when you're speaking with your friends. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks for the question. Let's move on to our next question. Next question comes from Alexander. Hi, Alexander. Alexander says, hi, do the expressions you want to do something, you should do something, and you need to do something mean the same thing? I've heard many people say, you want to do something, meaning you should do something, but I can't find any explanations about using want to in this way. Thanks. I'm guessing that this use of want to is when people are teaching someone else how to do something. So like, for example, if you're showing someone how to use software for the first time, you might hear people use, you wanna do this, you wanna do that. Like you're kind of teaching them something, but some people choose to use you want to. Like the next step you're going to want to do. That's kind of the feel of this expression. This is a personal choice. So in that case, yes, when you're teaching someone to do something and you're showing them steps in a process, you can use you want to do this. So for example, like if I'm teaching someone how to edit video, I might say, first, you want to import the video. Then you want to make a timeline. Then you want to start choosing the parts of the video to use. So I'm using you want to there. But you could replace that with you should. First, you should import the video. Then you should create a timeline. Then you should choose the parts of the video. So yes, in that specific situation, want to and should can have the same meaning. But in general, no, they have very different meanings. Like we use you want to, generally, to ask about someone's feelings for something. Like you want to go to a movie later, or like you want to get something to eat. Like you're asking for someone's opinion about something, making a suggestion. When you're using you should do something, it's for advice reasons. So that's kind of similar to teaching someone to do something. Then your final point about using you need to do something, that could also be used to describe steps in a process, yes, but it has that feeling of responsibility. So we use that when we have obligations, like things that we need to take care of. Like you need to go to the bank today. Like you're telling someone else to do something. You're telling someone else about their responsibilities. So in sum, yes, in this specific situation, when you're teaching someone steps in a process, you should do something and you want to do something can mean the same thing, but outside of this situation, they have very different functions and very different meanings. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for this question. All right, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Jin. Hi, Jin. Jin says, what is the difference between new and newbie? How do I use these words? Nice one. Yeah, new is an adjective. Newbie refers to a person who is new in a situation, and it is a noun. Let's take a look at a couple of example sentences to compare how we might use these. Let's imagine you have just joined like a team of some kind, like a new sport or some kind of activity. You could introduce yourself to the people in your team by saying, "Hi, I'm new." Or you could say, "Hi, I'm a newbie." So using "Hi, I'm new" sounds a little bit more natural in that situation because you're introducing yourself to people you don't know. So the deal with newbie, or the thing about newbie, is that it's kind of a cute word. It's sort of casual, it's friendly. We use it when we're talking to people that we already know, or we're kind of in a community that we already know. So for that reason, "Hi, I'm a newbie" might sound a little bit too friendly when you're introducing yourself to someone for the first time. Let's compare this then to a different situation. Let's imagine you're working together with your teammates on a new project and you need to learn a new software, like, I don't know, Microsoft Excel or something. You might ask your teammate for help by saying something like, "Hey, I'm new to Excel. Can you help me?" Or you could say, "I'm an Excel newbie. Can you help me?" So in that case, either is fine, but newbie sounds a little cute, a little friendly, a little bit closer. So newbie has the feeling of friendliness a little bit, like you're in a community, you're in a situation where people already know who you are, and you can kind of feel that it's acceptable to use that word. So again, both sentences, they communicate the same idea. It's just a little bit of a distance difference. Like the distance between you and the person listening is a bit closer than if you say, "I'm new." So you can think about this when you're choosing between these two words. Again, new is an adjective, "Hi, I'm new," and newbie is a noun, "Hi, I'm a newbie." So I hope that this helps you. One more bonus point, you may also see N-O-O, like the number 00, and B, noob. So noob is an even more casual word that's very commonly used online and in video games, and it means someone who is new to the situation, but also doesn't really know very much, and they're kind of irritating or they get in the way. So you might hear people using noob in this way. Some people, myself included, also like to use noob in a kind of self-deprecating manner. So self-deprecating means you use it to make yourself seem a bit lower. So when you want to express that you're new to something and not very good, you can say, "I'm a noob." So again, it's a noun, just like newbie. So a few extra points there. I hope that this was helpful for you. Thanks for an interesting question. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about catenative verbs. Let's get started. First, let's begin. What is a catenative verb? There are 2 points I want to introduce first. First, a catenative verb is a verb that can chain to other verbs. So we can connect a second verb to this first catenary verb. When we use catenative verbs, the verb after the catenative verb can take 2 forms. First, it can take the infinitive form. That means to plus the verb. Or it can take the infinitive form without to. I'll show you some examples later. The second form it can take is the gerund form. That's the ing ending form of the verb. So we use catenative verb plus infinitive or catenative verb plus gerund when we make these sentences. So it's like the verb that we begin with, and then our chaining verbs come after that. So the first verb is the catenative verb. Let's take a look at some example sentences then. First one, she should stop smoking. Here, my catenative verb is in red. So stop is my catenative verb. It connects to smoking. So smoking ends in the ing form here, smoking. So this is the connecting verb. We start here, we connect it here with this ing form. Another example with the ing form, the gerund form. Please start writing. So start is my catenative verb. It chains to the next thing. Writing is the second verb, the verb we use to follow it. So this is in the ing form. Let's look at two more examples that use the infinitive form. Here, we want to build a house. So here's my catenative verb, the first verb here. Then I follow it with to build. So to and build together here. This is the infinitive form. I need to use to here. We want to build a house. Second, he needs to buy a suit. My catenative verb is need. I've got this S here. I need to conjugate the verb because my subject is he. He needs to buy a suit. So, depending on the sentence, we need to choose the infinitive form or the gerund form. I marked this example, though, with this mark because this is an example of some situations where using the gerund form or the infinitive form can actually change the meaning of the sentence. If, for example, I said, she should stop to smoke, it means she should stop her activities to smoke, like to smoke a cigarette. This sentence means she should stop smoking. Like that means that she should stop the activity of smoking in her life altogether. So be aware that there are some cases where gerund and infinitive have different meanings. There aren't so many, but there are some. So try to keep this in mind. And this is something that you need to remember as you read and as you listen. So based on context, really. Okay, so now I want to continue to kind of a more in-depth topic, a little bit deeper into this subject, complex catenative. So complex catenative verbs, these are catenative verbs that take an object. So I have some example sentences here. Again, the catenative verb is in red and the object is in blue. Here, will you help me clean the room? So my catenative verb here is help, my object is me, and then my linking verb is clean. So clean here, you'll notice there's no to. This is an example, like I mentioned here, where sometimes we don't use to before the infinitive. So we don't use it in this case, it's just a plain infinitive. Will you help me clean the room? So here's my catenative, I chained it to clean with an object. So this is a complex catenative. Another example, they asked us to move our bags. They asked us to move our bags. So here is my verb, my catenative verb, ask, past tense in this case. My object, so us, we were the receiving party, so they asked us to move our bags. Here I have the infinitive form again, to move. In this case, I have the to included here. Okay, some more examples. She wants them to take photos. Here's my catenative verb, want. In this case, wants, because my subject is she. And my object, them. To take, again, I have the infinitive form here. She wants them to take photos. Finally, he took me to apply for a loan. Again, my catenative verb, took, past tense, object, me. And I have the infinitive form again, to apply for a loan. So you will see these different types of catenative verb-related structures. So complex catenative refers to these patterns that have objects. So when do we use this kind of thing? We use it actually a lot in speech, especially when we're just talking casually, like about things we need to do. We can make long sentences by chaining verbs together in this way. Here's a quick example. We went to get a rental car to help our friends move to a new apartment. So this maybe is a little bit awkward, but it's something that a native speaker might say. We just say everything really quickly. But let's break this sentence down. So we went, here's my past tense, we went to get. So here's a catenative verb right here. We went to get a rental car. So my linking verb here is in the infinitive form. To help. So here's another catenative verb. In this case, it's complex. So to help our friends. So who did we help? We helped our friends move. So here's my linking verb, move to a new apartment. So we can kind of chain a lot of ideas together with something like this. So native speakers as well, when we're speaking quickly, maybe we don't make perfect sentences or we don't make complete sentences, but we use this kind of speaking, we use this kind of verb linking to make longer ideas and longer sentences. So I hope that this helps you as you think about how to put verbs together. If you want some more information on catenative verbs, I would recommend checking, just doing a Google search to see some lists and some more example sentences of catenative verbs. Because there are quite a few, but we just kind of put them together depending on the situation, depending on what we want to communicate, as with any other grammar point. So I hope that you get some practice with this and pay attention to this when you're reading to see common types of pairings that use this kind of grammar. So I hope that this was helpful for you. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making example sentences with catenative verbs, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about how to use a, and, the, and when to use no article. So let's get started. Okay, first I want to begin by talking about using a and an. These are the indefinite articles that we use in English. Regarding pronunciation, you might hear people use a or a. You can choose whichever you prefer. They're both correct. So we use the indefinite article, a or an, when we want to introduce a noun. So that means it's our first time using the noun, like when we're telling a story, for example. So the first time we introduce the noun, we use a or an to do that. So we use a if the following noun begins with a consonant sound, Some examples of this. A cookie, this is a k, a consonant sound. A pen, this p is a consonant sound. And a fish, so this f is a consonant sound. So if the next word, if the following noun begins with a consonant sound, we should use the a indefinite article. Then we use an when the following noun begins with a vowel sound. So some examples of this are an apple, so here we have a as our vowel sound, we use an apple, an egg, here the e sound, and then an hour. So here, this is a vowel sound. So this is a great example of this note that I want to mention. Sound does not equal spelling. So I said when the following noun begins with a vowel sound, we use an. Here, yes, we have the consonant H beginning this word, but it makes a vowel sound, an hour. So it's like the H doesn't make that H sound. So an hour. We use this indefinite article an instead of a. So please be careful. We're listening for a sound, not for the spelling in this case. Okay. Then, as you can see, we use the indefinite article before nouns in the singular form only. So, for example, you don't see s at the end of these words. We can only use the singular form, so meaning one of something. Only the singular form when you're using the indefinite article. So a very simple example sentence using the indefinite article is I got a dog. We might start a story with this. I got a dog. So dog is in the singular. I got one dog. This is a new dog. I'm introducing this dog to my conversation. So I use a to do that. Okay, let's compare this now to the definite article. The is the definite article in English. So we use the to refer to a noun or a specific noun. So this can be something that we directly explain, or we just understand it from the context. So relating to this point, something that we understand from context or a specific noun, this can be when there's only one of something. So a great example of this is some countries. For example, the United States of America, or like the Republic of so-and-so. Those begin with the. So there's only one of that, and we understand that. We use the in cases like that. It's in like the title. Okay, so we use the to talk about things we know about. So something that we heard earlier in a conversation or earlier in a story, for example, or when we know what the noun is. So we can use this before singular or plural forms of nouns. So here's an example. I got a dog, which we saw before. I got a dog. I bought a bed for the dog. Here, I've used the because in this sentence, I mentioned this dog. The dog in this sentence is the dog I bought, or I got rather, in the first sentence. So I'm introducing it here. I got a dog. This is my introductory statement, kind of, my full sentence. Here's this new information, this new noun, I got a dog. In my next sentence, I want to mention this same dog. I use the to describe that. I bought a bed for the dog. You'll also notice here I've introduced another new thing. I bought a bed for the dog. So I've used the indefinite article here. This is another new thing. But I want to refer to the same known noun that I introduced in the previous sentence. Okay, so this is an introduction to using the definite article. Now, let's look at when to use no article. So no a, no an, no the. We use no article when referring generally to a group or all instances, like all kinds or all types of something. We use this a lot when we're talking about things we like or dislike, for example. So we use the plural form of the noun. We do not use the singular form. We need to use the plural form. A very simple example of this is I like dogs. I like dogs. So you'll see here, I've used the plural form, dogs. So by saying I like dogs, it means I like all instances of that. I like all examples of dogs, all different kinds of dogs. I like dogs. Okay, so let's continue on then to a short story example that I prepared. So this example includes uses of the indefinite article, the definite article, and cases where we'll see no article. There are a couple points I want to talk about. So let's take a look. Last weekend, I took a bus to a park near my neighborhood. I walked around the park, then I found a place to sit down and relax. I read a book, took photos, and enjoyed watching the people at the park. But I got bit by a bug. I hate mosquitoes. So this is a very simple story about something that happened recently. This is a past tense story. It features indefinite, definite articles, and no article. So let's take a look. Last weekend, I took a bus. So I'm introducing a bus. This is the first case where I'm explaining a bus in my story. So I took a bus to a park near my neighborhood. So a park near my neighborhood. This means there could be other parks near the neighborhood. I want to talk about one in particular, to a park in my neighborhood. I walked around the park. So here I use the to refer to this park I introduced earlier in my story. I walked around the park, this park I talked about before. Then found a place to sit down and relax. So my next step was to find a place. So I'm using a here because the place is just any place. I just chose one specific place to sit down and relax. This could be any place. I want to talk about just one in particular. Okay. Then I said I read a book. So again, I'm using a here to introduce this. So I have not talked about the book before. I want to introduce my book to the story. I read a book, took photos. So here there's nothing, you'll notice. I took a photo. I could say I took a photo if I took one photo, but maybe if I took a lot of photos, I would say I took photos. I took photos. And I enjoyed watching the people at the park. So this the, I think, is pretty clear, at the park. So I'm talking about the specific park I visited. This one, however, I've included in parentheses, watching the people at the park. Why did I do this? So there are some cases where it's correct to use the, and it's correct to use no article. This is one example of that. Here, enjoyed watching the people in the park and enjoyed watching people in the park. Those are both correct sentences, actually. There's not really a difference in meaning here because I've included a location here. Like if I said, I enjoyed watching the people, I might be confused as the listener, like which people? Who were you watching? So saying watching people at the park makes it clear that it's only about people who were at the park. If I want to be extra specific and give extra emphasis, I can include the here, watching the people in the park. Like this is the thing I was focusing my attention on in the park. So you can choose to include it, you can choose not to include it. They communicate the same thing. But this is one example of a situation where you could use the article or you could choose not to. Okay, then our last sentence, but I got bit by a bug. A bug. So again, new thing, something new is in my story, a bug in this case, by one bug. Then I finish with this expression, I hate mosquitoes. So mosquitoes are those small bugs that bite you and it gets really itchy, a mosquito. But I'm making a general statement, all mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes, maybe because they bite. So I use the plural form. I hate mosquitoes with no article. I hate mosquitoes. So this is a simple example of a situation or a story where you would use definite, indefinite, and no article to explain something that happened to you. So I hope that this lesson gives you a good introduction to how and when to use a, and the, and no article. But if Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about some expressions you can use to talk about your hometown or your home city or maybe your home country. Let's get started. Okay, the first sentence or the first expression that I want to talk about is just a basic introduction. I'm from. So I'm from your city or I'm from your country. Please be careful. I've noticed in like the comment section of the videos that we make, for example, many of you introduce yourself, but you forget this, I'm from. I'm from. I often see the mistake I from, which is incorrect. So that's not correct. We should use I'm from. Remember, I'm is the contracted, the reduced form of I am. I am from city. I am from country. So please don't forget this. I am. I am from a city. When we make a sentence with this, we could say, I'm from Vietnam for a country. I'm from Vietnam. Or from a city, I'm from Bangkok. So you can choose either one, your city or your country. Both are fine to use. So if you want to choose something different or if you want to explain in a little more detail, specifically, you can use an expression like this. I was born in a city or in a specific country. I was born in. Another mistake I see with students is they forget this was. I often see comments that say, I born in, which is incorrect. I was born in city or country. I was born in Brazil, in the case of a country. I was born in Cambodia. So you can use your country name here. Of course, if you want to use a city, for example, I was born in Bangkok, and you want to give more information, maybe for some reason the person you're talking to doesn't know that city, or maybe it's a really small city, you can say, it's in country. So for example, I was born in Bangkok, it's in Thailand. So you can explain the country as a follow-up with this expression, it's in, where it is your city. It is in Thailand in this case. It's in country. Then, if you want to share some information about your hometown, these are some expressions you can use to do that. These are very open, so I hope that you can find something that helps you. The first one is, it has a lot of noun phrase. It has a lot of noun phrase. Here, it means your city or your country. It's probably best to talk about your city here, though if you live in a really small city, maybe you can share about your country. Maybe your country is small too, so it's good to share about something that's maybe easy to understand if you're introducing your city or your country. So you could say it has a lot of something. So some examples would be, it has a lot of traffic. Like if your city has a lot of traffic, you can mention that. It has a lot of good food, or it has a lot of nature. So there's some kind of simple noun phrase here that you can use to describe something in your city. Please note, we use has. It has. The city has. So not is, we use is for adjectives. We're using has here because these are noun phrases. So you could say, it is a busy city, or it is a windy city, for example. But when you're using a noun phrase, you need to change your verb here. It has a lot of traffic. It has a lot of nature. So please be careful about this point. Let's go to the next point. It's famous for. It's famous for. So in some cultures, each city or each country maybe has some specific thing that city is really well known for. You can use this expression to describe that thing. It's famous for. Again, it is your city or maybe your country. It's famous for something. So again, there's some noun phrase, some maybe activity, some famous item. For example, it's famous for spicy food. Like my country is famous for spicy food, for example. Or it's famous for entertainment or nightlife, maybe. So think of something that your city is well known for. So like, for example, Las Vegas, maybe. It's famous for entertainment. That's something we could say about Las Vegas in the USA. Okay, another expression you can use that's very similar to it has a lot of is this one here. I've made two sentences or two expressions you can use. There is or there are a lot of something. So there is, or reduced, there's, or there are a lot of something. So this is kind of a different way to say this. Very similar. Let's look at some examples. Here, this is kind of a negative point, but there's a lot of crime. So maybe your hometown is rather dangerous and you want to talk about that. You can say, there is a lot of crime. Crime is like activities or actions that are against the law. They are illegal. So to describe that, you can say, there's a lot of crime in my hometown. Or there are a lot of animals, maybe in your city that's really closely connected to nature. And you can say, there are a lot of animals. So just be cautious. Here, there is a lot of crime. So crime is a mass noun, or a plural noun rather. So we can use this is form. But here, when we have there are, we need to use this S at the end of the word. There are a lot of animals, the plural form. There are a lot of animals. So just pay attention. If you're using a singular noun, or you're using this like plural or mass noun that has no S at the end, you can use this is form. If you're using a plural noun, there are is fine. So there are a lot of animals. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Lots of people like to do something. Lots of people like to. And here we'll have like an activity, some kind of verb phrase probably. Lots of people like to go out at night. So for Las Vegas, for example, lots of people like to go out at night. Or lots of people like to do outdoor sports. So you'll notice I've got a verb here. Lots of people like to verb, and then some other information to tell us about that. Lots of people like to swim in the river. Something that is like an activity that's kind of unique or that's particularly interesting for your city. Okay, finally, the population. This is another one people like to talk about. If you want to be specific, you can say, of course, my hometown is very small, or my home city is really big. You can talk about it like that, yes. If you want to give the specific number, how many people, you can use this expression. Population means the number of people in your city or the number of people in your country. So the population is, and follow it with the number. The population is about 20,000 people, or about 150,000 people. I have people in parentheses here because we don't really need to use it, but you might hear people say people at the end of this expression. We don't need to include people here because we have population. We know population means the number of people, though sometimes we include this. You don't need to, really. The population is about 20,000, is perfect. Okay, let's go on then to the last couple points. The last points I marked here, these are about the weather. So a really common topic when you're talking about your hometown is the weather. These are a few expressions you can use to talk about what the weather is like in your hometown. For example, it rains a lot. It rains a lot. Or you could say, it's very rainy. It's dry. You might say, for example, in the summer, it's dry, or in winter, it's dry. So it here refers to weather, like weather patterns. It rains a lot. It's dry. Another one, the weather is sunny year-round. So this is a word, or a hyphenated word, year-round, which means all throughout the year. So non-stop. The weather is sunny year-round. Another good word to know is humid. It's humid. So this is when, like, a good example might be like a tropical situation, a tropical city or a tropical country. So maybe the temperature, it's not so hot maybe sometimes, but the water content, the moisture content in the air is very high. So we call that humid. It's humid. It's very humid. You might also hear the word muggy. Muggy. Muggy is a little bit less formal than humid. It sounds a little more negative too. It's humid, it's so humid. So these are a few weather-related words, like climate-related words. Here you can replace this word, rains, with something else, like it snows a lot, for example. It rains a lot, it snows a lot, maybe it hails where you're from. Hail is like a ball of ice. So when you want to talk about precipitation, like things coming from clouds, you could use this pattern. All right, so this is just a quick introduction to a few things that I hope can help you as you try to explain your hometown or your home country to other people. If there's something else that you would like to know how to say, or if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making an introduction to your home city, please feel free in the comment section of this video. Of course, if you like this lesson, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Jam! Okay, hi everybody, welcome back to Know Your Verbs. My name is Alicia, and in this lesson we're going to talk about the verb jam. Let's get started. Let's start with the basic definition of this verb. The basic definition of jam is to cause something to be blocked. To cause something to be blocked. Examples. I jammed the printer somehow. We jammed the shredder with paper. Now let's look at the conjugations for this verb. Present, jam, jams. Past, jammed. Past participle, jammed. Progressive, jamming. Now let's talk about some additional meanings for this verb. The first additional meaning is to push or force something into a space. Examples. He jammed himself onto the packed train. The moving company is jamming boxes into trucks. So here we see examples of someone or something being pushed or forced into something. It's like something that's difficult to get into, or maybe there's not enough space. In the first example, we see he pushed himself into a packed train. That means that the train is full of people already, but he pushes himself, he jams himself in, forcefully pushing in order to get on the train. In the second example sentence, we see it in reference to boxes. A moving company is jamming boxes into trucks, which means there's maybe not a lot of space in the truck. However, he or she, the moving person, needs to get these boxes in, so they're forcefully pushing. We use jam to talk about that, to describe that act. All right, let's go on to the second additional meaning for this verb. The second additional meaning is to play music informally or to improvise music in a group. Examples. The group jams a few times a month. I think the neighbors are jamming again. So this use of jam refers to practicing music or playing music in a group of people. So there's a group of people, usually different instruments, and there's no song specifically. There's no goal really. They're just making music together. So you might have heard this called a jam session, actually. To me, it sounds a little strange to use the word jam if you yourself are not a musician. It feels strange to me to say they're jamming, because I'm not really the kind of person who uses that word. But it might sound more natural coming from a musician. So if you're a musician and you like to improvise music with people, you might be able to use this word quite naturally to talk about your practice sessions. So again, it's just practice. It's just kind of enjoying and feeling the music. It's not really playing with a goal in mind. You're improvising. So you can also use it in general kind of to talk about other ways of enjoying music, like with dance or even just enjoying music and kind of moving your head a little bit too. We sometimes use the word jam to mean just improvising and enjoying music in some way. So that's another way kind of related to this meaning that we can sometimes use jam. The third additional meaning for this verb is to cause a part of the body to be crushed or injured somehow, usually crushed. Examples. My friend jammed his finger in a door a few years ago. I jammed my toe on my bed. Okay, so jammed in these cases usually refers to some kind of crushing motion or some hard impact, something like this. So in the first example sentence, my friend jammed his finger in a door a few years ago, it means in the open door. So maybe there's the door and the space between the door and the wall. This person's finger went in between those two and the door closed. That's a perfect example of when we would use jam. This actually happened to my friend, this is true. And his finger was jammed in the door. So this crushing motion, this crushing injury, we use jam to refer to that. We can also use it to refer to other kind of similar small injuries, usually to fingers and toes, as in the second example sentence, I jammed my toe on my bed. That refers to against a hard object, you're walking, and you touch or you jam your finger or you jam your toe into an object like a table or a sofa or a bed or something. It's quite painful and it feels like you just pushed it forcefully into that object. We can say jammed. Another verb we use in this case is stub. I stubbed my toe. But you can say jammed or stub, depending on what you like. People use both. Okay, let's go on to the next additional meaning then. The next additional meaning is to interfere with a broadcast. To interfere with a broadcast. Let's go to some example sentences. They're jamming our signal. The signal from the satellite has been jammed. So this means that something or someone or some kind of machine or data or something is blocking some signal. So this could be blocking a Wi-Fi signal, satellite, TV, radio signal. Something is causing the signal to be disrupted, the broadcast to be disrupted. There's some problem there. So we use the word jam to talk about this. You will see this a lot in spy and police and suspense movies relating to technology. You can jam your enemy's signal and they can't get any communications out, for example. So you block someone's communication or you block someone's ability to broadcast information. We use jam to refer to that. Okay, now let's look at a variation for this verb. This variation is to jam on the brakes, quite specific. This expression means to push quickly and with force on the brakes of a vehicle. Examples. He jammed on the brakes when the child stepped into the road. Don't jam the brakes. So to jam the brakes or jamming the brakes is usually like a very quick and fast and very uncomfortable motion, very uncomfortable like results actually. So you push the brakes and the car quickly comes to a stop, or the car jerks very fast. So the people inside the car feel uncomfortable, and it can be bad for the car's braking system. Maybe it can also like damage items in the car. So it's considered typically to be not a good thing to do. So it's typically not recommended to jam the brakes. You'll hear jam the brakes and also jam on the brakes. Both of them are in use, so you can choose which you prefer. They have the same meaning. Okay. So those are a few different ways that you can use the verb jam. I hope that you found something new. Of course, if you have questions, comments, or other ways to use the word jam, please let us know in the comment section of this video.
Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your English listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
A man and a woman are talking about banks. Which bank is the woman going to choose? I'm starting a part-time job, so I'm thinking about opening a new bank account. Which bank do you recommend?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. For example, both Bank A and Bank B have plenty of locations and ATMs to choose from. This is very convenient.
But Bank A charges ATM fees for every transaction. Bank B allows me to use their ATM at no charge during business hours on weekdays.
That's true. Speaking of ATM fees, Bank C never charges fees, but they don't have as many ATM locations.
That is nice, but I don't like the fact that it would be more difficult to find ATMs with Bank C.
By the way, Bank D is the best when it comes to high interest rates.
Are they? But I'm only planning to use this bank account for money I'll be making from my part-time job, which won't be that much.
Then you should choose the bank with the most convenient ATMs and lowest fees.
All right, thanks for the advice. Which bank is the woman going to choose? A man and a woman are talking about banks. Which bank is the woman going to choose? I'm starting a part-time job, so I'm thinking about opening a new bank account. Which bank do you recommend?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. For example, both Bank A and Bank B have plenty of locations and ATMs to choose from. This is very convenient.
But Bank A charges ATM fees for every transaction. Bank B allows me to use their ATM at no charge during business hours on weekdays.
That's true. Speaking of ATM fees, Bank C never charges fees, but they don't have as many ATM locations.
That is nice, but I don't like the fact that it would be more difficult to find ATMs with Bank C.
By the way, Bank D is the best when it comes to high interest rates.
Are they? But I'm only planning to use this bank account for money I'll be making from my part-time job, which won't be that much.
Then you should choose the bank with the most convenient ATMs and lowest fees.
All right, thanks for the advice. A man and a woman are planning their sightseeing route. In which order will they visit the sites around town?
Which route should we take tomorrow?
I'd really like to go see the museum, the castle, and the observatory.
I also want to buy some souvenirs along the way.
The museum is open from 8 to 6. The castle is open from 9 to 4. Then the observatory seems to be open from 9 in the morning until 9 in the evening.
The castle has a special guided tour twice a day, starting at noon and 2 o'clock. I think we should catch one of those.
I think you need to book the tour in advance. Can you check that online?
Sure. Oh, the one starting at noon is already booked. Should we book the one starting at 2?
Sure, we can take that tour right after lunch.
All right, where do we want to go first? The museum or the observatory?
I would love to see the night view. What if we stay at the castle until 4 and then go to the observatory after dark?
Good idea. Okay, let's have lunch at the restaurant inside the museum. Then we can go souvenir shopping before the castle tour starts.
Sure, sounds like a perfect plan. In which order will they visit the sites around town? A man and a woman are planning their sightseeing route. In which order will they visit the sites around town?
Which route should we take tomorrow?
I'd really like to go see the museum, the castle, and the observatory.
I also want to buy some souvenirs along the way.
The museum is open from 8 to 6. The castle is open from 9 to 4. Then the observatory seems to be open from 9 in the morning until 9 in the evening.
The castle has a special guided tour twice a day, starting at noon and 2 o'clock. I think we should catch one of those.
I think you need to book the tour in advance. Can you check that online?
Sure. Oh, the one starting at noon is already booked. Should we book the one starting at 2?
Sure, we can take that tour right after lunch.
All right, where do we want to go first? The museum or the observatory?
I would love to see the night view. What if we stay at the castle until 4 and then go to the observatory after dark?
Good idea. Okay, let's have lunch at the restaurant inside the museum. Then we can go souvenir shopping before the castle tour starts.
Sure, sounds like a perfect plan.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is how to get back on track after language learning failure. If you've ever made language learning a goal, you've also likely experienced failure. Maybe you quit studying for some time. Maybe you came back to try again later. But how do you bounce back after failing? Well, it might be easier than you think. In this episode, you'll discover 1. The key points to consider after failing a goal, and 2. The steps to getting back on track with language learning. But first, listen up. Here are this month's new lessons and resources. First, the Cooking Conversation Cheat Sheet. Learn all the must-know cooking phrases with this new cheat sheet. Download it for free right now. Second, our brand new visual flashcards. Want to speak more of the language? You'll need to learn more words. And with our new printable visual flashcards, you'll learn over 1,500 words. Just download and print them out. Third, can you talk about your favorite shows? Learn how to say no spoilers, what are you watching right now, and other useful words and phrases for video on demand. Fourth, what's your New Year's resolution? With this bonus phrase list, you'll learn to say read more, save money, learn a language, and other common goals. Fifth, must know words and phrases for the new year. If you're learning the language and can't yet talk about the new year, then access this 1-minute vocabulary lesson. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. How to get back on track after language learning failure. So, how do you get back on track with language learning after failing? Think back to your school days. Did you ever miss a homework assignment? Most of us did. You'd have to make it up and do the next one. You had to double up on your work. So if you've ever missed a goal, you might be tempted to do the same thing. Finish your old goal and achieve a new one. However, that might not be such a good idea. A key point to remember after failing a goal is don't set the same goal again. Let's explain why. 1. If you failed the goal before, there's a good chance that the goal might be too much for you. In that case, you want an easier goal. 2. You need to give yourself a chance to succeed. And if that requires setting a super easy goal that you actually can reach, then so be it. Do that. For example, if you tried to learn 100 words in 1 month and failed, but you want to try again, go for something smaller, like 20 words. Between trying and failing the 100-word goal again or reaching a smaller 20-word goal, you're much better off with the 20-word goal. It'll be better for your motivation to hit a super easy goal instead of failing multiple times in a row. It'll get you back in motion with language learning. Now that you know how to get back on track, here are some steps you can take. 1. Think back to the last language goal you set and failed. Was it last year's New Year's resolution? And was it something like, I just want to be fluent, or I want to speak the language? You can let us know what your old goal was in the comments. 2. Aim for a smaller, more realistic goal. With that last goal in mind, think about how you might make a new, easier goal. Remember, your goal should always be 1. Small, 2. Measurable, for example, 1 minute of conversation, 100 words, 10 grammar rules, 10 lessons, etc. And 3. Have a small time frame with a deadline. In other words, it's a goal for the week or for the month, and the deadline is January 31st, for example. So if your failed goal was to just speak fluently, aim for something smaller. Set a goal like, I want to speak for 1 minute this month, or I want to be able to introduce myself by the end of this week, or I want to master the alphabet by the end of this week, and schedule a deadline for yourself. All of these goals are small, measurable, specific, and easy to achieve. You'll easily know if you've reached 1 minute of speaking, if you've learned the alphabet, or learned how to say, my name is, in the language you're studying. So now that you have a goal, 3. Find a way to fit language learning into your life. Instead of creating new routines that you may have trouble sticking with, work with what you already have, your existing routines. If you already spend 10 minutes on chores in the morning, you can listen to a lesson and learn a bit of language. If you take a walk, you can listen to a lesson then. If you watch YouTube for an hour in the evening, you can spend 5 or 10 minutes watching one of our lessons. Piggybacking off of your existing daily routines is the easiest way to introduce language learning into your life. Okay, now let's talk about learning material. 4. Get back on track with easy learning material. An easy way to restart learning is with our audio and video lessons. All you have to do is hit play and follow along. And if you have to, you can multitask. For example, as we mentioned, you can be doing chores and listening in. Taking steps like these can help you form study habits. It's a lot easier to listen and do what you usually do, as opposed to buying a textbook, setting aside time, sitting down, and trying to go through it, especially if you're not used to learning a language. Finally, another very easy thing you can do is take advantage of our Word of the Day lessons. These are daily emails that teach you 1 new word a day. The goal of these emails is to get you used to learning and create a simple routine. If you can stick with spending 1 quick minute every day learning a new word, then you can grow to stick with almost any other routine. So to recap, we often fail and give up on our goals because we overwhelm ourselves. Whether it's with an unrealistic goal, a heavy routine, or complicated resources. You want to do the opposite. Avoid overwhelming yourself. If you failed a goal before, aim for a smaller goal. Avoid heavy learning routines and piggyback off of your existing daily routines. If you take a walk, then use that time to listen to audio lessons. And finally, use easy learning material, such as our audio and video lessons on our website. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about how to adjust your routine and learn language from home. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way, and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! What if you could go from struggling to speak to speaking with confidence? Reviewing is a huge part of achieving this. In this video, you'll learn 6 ways our language learning program helps you review. Number 1, replay your lessons. If you're using our language learning program, you can download lessons and review them at a later date. And since lessons are 3 to 15 minutes long, your preparation and review sessions won't take a lot of time. The easiest way to review is to simply replay past lessons. Of course, make sure you pay attention. Number 2, read the lesson notes. Imagine you've finished reading a big book or watching a video course. Do you remember everything you've learned? Of course not. When you get a lot of information at one time, it's normal not to be able to recall all of it immediately. But you can refresh your memory by going back to reread, rewatch, and take notes. It takes effort. This is why you get lesson notes with every lesson. These notes give you the lesson in writing, so you can review the conversation, the vocabulary, grammar, and cultural points quickly. Number 3, listen to lines from the lesson conversation with the dialogue tool. The dialogue tool is a premium feature that our users love because you get line-by-line breakdowns of conversations. For every line of the conversation, you get audio, the transcript, and the translations. This tool helps you master entire conversations, speak faster, and improve your listening. You can listen to each line one by one, read along, and repeat out loud. Repeating out loud will help your speaking skills. And because you can listen as much as you want, you can also use this tool to work on your listening skills. Number 4, the vocabulary slideshow. With this, you can review words and phrases from a specific lesson. Just press play and watch the slideshow. For each word, you'll hear the native pronunciation. You'll also get the meaning, the text, and translations right there on the screen. You can even put the slideshow on loop to review as much as you want. Number 5, practice your speaking skills with the voice recorder. With the voice recorder tool, you can record yourself and compare your speech to that of native speakers. This can help you find out where you can improve your speaking skills. It's a great way to practice speaking and perfect your pronunciation. Number 6, review conversations with the dialogue audio track. The dialogue track gives you just the conversation. It's purely the target language, no translations. You get it for every lesson. Listen to it again and again until you completely understand every single word. This is a great way to see how much you understand, and it's a great language immersion tactic. Want to learn new words and phrases fast so you can speak and understand more of your target language? In this video, you'll learn all about spaced repetition flashcards. You'll learn about why this particular study tool is so useful and how using it can help keep vocabulary words fresh in your mind. First, here's what's new with our flashcards. You can now access your flashcards on any mobile device. They're mobile responsive, so visit the site on any device: iPhone, iPad, Android, or any tablet. Access the flashcards and learn anywhere, anytime. But what if you're a new language learner and have never seen this tool before? Second, what are spaced repetition flashcards? What are they? And how do spaced repetition flashcards teach you words and phrases better than regular flashcards? First, imagine a regular flashcard. Imagine a teacher is quizzing you with paper flashcards. On the front, you see the word in the target language. The meaning of the word is on the other side. Your teacher shows you the target language word and asks you what the word means. If you get the answer right, your teacher puts the card in a pile of correct answer cards. If you get the answer wrong, your teacher puts the card in a pile of wrong answer cards. Spaced repetition flashcards are like a digital version of this, but a computer sorts your answers into correct answers and wrong answers, and then chooses which cards to quiz you on accordingly. With a spaced repetition flashcard, you see a word. You mark whether you know it or not. You learn whether you are right or wrong. Then you get the next word. But what exactly is spaced repetition? Third, how spaced repetition works. This is the part of the tool that makes the flashcard so powerful. If you get a word wrong, you'll see that card more often until you get it right. The card will keep popping up until you remember the answer. Spaced repetition flashcards help you focus on the words you don't know yet, or the words you're weak with, instead of asking you to review words you already know well. If you get a word right, you'll see that word again in perhaps 2 days. If you get the word right again after waiting 2 days, you might see the word 4 days later, then 16 days later, and so on. As you study and remember words, the flashcards will appear less frequently. This is because you're remembering the vocabulary and don't need to spend time studying the words you already know. Spaced repetition flashcards help you study words at the right time. The flashcards will track your progress. This means you don't have to remember which words you got right or wrong. The flashcards you are quizzed on will be customized to your knowledge level every time you study, and the quizzes will also help you keep your memory fresh. Remember, we don't learn things simply by seeing them once. By repeating our studies over a period of time, we remember things better. And the best part is that you can study vocabulary and phrases in just a few minutes a day. So if you're on the train or bus going to work, you can put that time to use. Take out your phone and learn new words. Just a couple minutes every day will help you learn new words fast. A common question that first-time language learners ask is, where do I begin? Classically, the answer to this is with guidance. Finding the right teacher can be tricky, especially online. There are a lot of options to choose from. We've got one we'll tell you about. In this video, we'll show you how our Premium Plus learning option can provide you with guidance to help you reach your language learning goals. Our Premium Plus study tools are designed to support and guide learners. There's access to thousands of lessons, a voice recording tool, and spaced repetition flashcards. Most importantly, Premium Plus users get a personal language instructor who can provide weekly assignments. Let's talk about these items in detail. Number 1. Gain unlimited access to audio and video lessons. As a Premium Plus member, you'll have full access to the lesson library and other premium features. Best of all, you're not limited to one level, and you can learn to your heart's content with upper-level courses. There are lessons on various topics that tackle crucial language learning elements like reading, writing, listening, speaking, and conversation. More specifically, there are pathways. Pathways are collections of lessons that focus on a specific topic. Some pathways are even geared towards proficiency tests. There are also pathways in the lesson library to help you prepare for certain events, such as speaking at a restaurant, buying a ticket, or making friends. One of the most helpful is the Top 25 Questions You Need to Know pathway, which can help you in your everyday life. Each lesson has lesson notes to read while you listen to the audio lesson. This will help you follow along with key points. Lesson notes generally contain the dialogue, new vocabulary, the target grammar points, and cultural insights based on the dialogue. Podcasts and lesson notes are available on the Innovative Language app, so you can also learn on the go. Number 2. Practice speaking with the voice recording tool. Pronunciation is an important part of language learning. Proper pronunciation ensures understanding during conversations with native speakers. Many learners think speaking is one of the most challenging components of learning a language. To help with this, the voice recording tool is a great way to improve speaking skills. Lesson dialogues are spoken by native speakers, so you can record yourself repeating after them to practice speaking naturally. Your Premium Plus teacher can assign you tasks to help you progress with any new sounds you might be learning. For these assignments, your teacher can listen to your voice recordings of the sounds and help you learn how to pronounce them. Completing these tasks under the guidance of your teacher can help you boost your confidence in speaking. This feature is also available for vocabulary words and sample sentences. Being able to hear these recordings improves pronunciation skills, especially when incorrect intonation can change the meaning of a word entirely. The voice recorder examines your speed and tone. Don't forget to also follow up by sending a recording to your Premium Plus teacher for feedback. Number 3. Increase your vocabulary with spaced repetition flashcards and more. One of the best ways to learn vocabulary is with spaced repetition flashcards. Spaced repetition is a system designed for learning something new and reviewing it in varying time intervals. You can create and study flashcard decks, whether from your word bank or a specific vocabulary list. For example, if you need to visit a post office, the post office vocabulary list for your target language would be beneficial to study prior to your visit. Premium Plus offers various features to expand learners' vocabulary, including free gifts of the month, such as the 400 Everyday Phrases for Beginners ebook. Find opportunities to use them with your teachers, friends, or classmates. For even more practice, each lesson has a vocabulary slideshow and a quiz to review the lesson's vocabulary. There's also the 2000 core word list, which includes the most commonly used words in your target language. Starting from the 100 core word list, you'll gradually build up your knowledge of useful vocabulary. These lists can be studied with spaced repetition flashcards too. With the flashcards, you can change the settings to your liking. The settings range from different card types to number of new cards per deck. Give yourself vocabulary tests by changing the settings. After studying a number of flashcards, change the card types to listening comprehension. You can then test yourself by writing the translation of the word or the spoken word or phrase. Changing your settings allows you to remember vocabulary and learn how to identify the words. This can be especially helpful when learning to recognize new characters in certain languages. Number 4. Get your own personal language teacher. Your language teacher will work with you and your goals to create a personalized and achievable study path. Once you share a short-term or a long-term goal with your teacher, you can establish a plan or pathway to lead to success. Coordinate with your teacher regularly to ensure the personalized learning programs are still working for you. If not, you can always change it up. There are so many ways your Premium Plus teacher can help you. If you have a speech you need to write, they can help you come up with the right way to say what you want to say. If there's something you need help translating, your teacher can lend you a hand. Or if there is a specific movie or song you want to consume in your target language, your teacher can gear your lessons to help you achieve your goal. Being in planes, trains, and buses can be an uncomfortable experience for many people. Often there are small, cramped seats, not many things to do, and sometimes the experience is even scary. Despite this, you often see people working in these environments. How do they do it? In this video, you'll learn 3 tips to help you be able to study anywhere. The first one is adjust to your environment. Most of us would probably agree that a plane or a bus is not the best place to study. These environments are usually dark and cramped, and you may have a crying baby next to you. But the point is, there's never a perfect time or place to learn. The reality is that a lot of us use transportation every day. We face environments that are typically considered unsuitable for study. Trains get crowded. You can't do much in your car. Even in your own home, you'll get distracted by the TV or Facebook or something. And some days you'll be sick. You'll be tired. You'll have dinner plans. Once you accept that there's rarely such a thing as the perfect time to study, you can start thinking about how to make the best of the environment you have at that time. For example, if you ride a train, you might stand up for a long time. It might be difficult to focus on a book. In a case like this, you can use the Innovative Language 101 app to study. Listen to the audio lessons, or do the word of the day by email. There are ways that you can learn in just about any situation. The point is, you need to adjust your study method to your environment. So take a look at your day and see where your time goes. Are there any gaps in between your activities where you feel like you can't study? And is there any way you can adjust? 2. Take advantage of your limited time. We've surveyed tons of learners over the years, and every year we find that the #1 reason most people don't learn a language is they say they have no time. But there's a chance you may have some spare time to study. You might just not recognize it yet. Let's say you commute for 30 minutes every day. You can ask yourself, how do I put these next 30 minutes to use? Or if you finish work at 7 p.m. and spend an hour doing nothing, you can think about what you might do in that hour that will help you work towards your goals. You don't have to use all 30 minutes of your commute or the full hour of your free time, but you can definitely fit in a short lesson or take other steps towards your goals. 3. Have an on and off mindset. When you work, it can be really helpful to have a kind of on-off switch for when it's time to work and time to rest. You can apply this same idea to your language studies. When it's time to study, you can focus solely on that. You don't spend time thinking about doing it, you just do it. It doesn't matter where you are or what kind of studying you're doing, as long as it gets done. And when you're done with a lesson, reward yourself. It can be as simple as telling yourself, "Great job." When you're finished with the time you promised yourself for studies, feel free to focus on the next thing. Great work. Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.